Hello, everyone. Good afternoon or morning, wherever you're joining us from. Appreciate you being on. This is our first of our webinar series of the new year. So happy new year to everybody. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Carson Heady. I'm the managing director for Microsoft Elevate Nonprofit for the Americas. It's an honor today to spend some time with you. So many mission-driven leaders that are out there every day being tasked with doing more with less. Today's session is Code for Good, Scaling Nonprofit Impact with Virtual Volunteers and GitHub. Very exciting session. Across the nonprofit sector, everybody's wrestling right now with the same reality that the problems that we're trying to solve are getting bigger and more complex. But resources are not growing at the same pace. And that's why today's conversation really matters. So excited to be joined today by GitHub and Techies Without Borders. And without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Cynthia Lowe from GitHub.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Carson. I'm very excited for this session. I'm going to start with a quick overview on what is GitHub to set the stage, and then I'm going to hand it over to our lovely speakers from Techies Without Borders. We have Yan and Deb here. I also see some other contributors that have worked with Techies Without Borders, so very excited. I know this part might be boring for anybody who is very familiar with GitHub, but I just want to set the stage a little bit. So I'm going to share my screen. And then let me know. Hopefully, we can. And then let me know if you can see that.
Yes, I can see. I can see your calendar. Okay.
Nope.
Oh, that's not what we want. That's not what we want. I wanted to share this very specific window. Apologies. There we go. All right. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Perfect. Well, as Carson mentioned, we want to talk a little bit more about specifically on managing virtual volunteers, about being able to support contributors and some of the challenges around that. But to take a step back, to go over what is GitHub, in case anybody's unfamiliar on what GitHub is. It's a platform where developers, it could be software engineers, it could be designers, they don't all have to be technical. It could be project managers or data scientists. They can share code, they can work together, and there's a version control platform. There's security that's involved in each step, and it's a way to be able to share code and work together within the community of other developers, other collaborators, or internally for inner-sourcing as well. So with that, there are a couple ways on how that could be done. For any nonprofits that are looking to find a way to work with other community members or contributors, how they can collaborate. So being able to feel secure in opening your project up to the community. So we are always are a big supporter of open source. So being able to collaborate with the community and open source community, being able to figure out which license to use is something to consider internally. Being able to leverage certain CI/CD continuous integrations, develop continuous deployment type of actions to make it a little bit easier. So you can automate things, automate testing to make life a little bit easier for a team with smaller resources. And of course, there's security to take a look at any secret scanning, any dependency scans that need to be done. That can be done automatically to make life a little bit easier. And we also offer all of this free for nonprofits, and I can share more of those links as well. For as long as an organization is a registered nonprofit, then they'd be able to access these tools. So a little bit more about the community itself. We want to talk about volunteers today. So volunteering and open source community sort of, in my mind, go hand in hand, but a lot of times open source contributions is a little bit different. Volunteers in terms of development, for software development, they can contribute to code or non-code. They can report bugs. They can also help to improve your project. They would be the ones that could be users and help support a project to grow a little bit easier in terms of you have your users there that also contribute to the development of the project. So being able to tap into virtual volunteers is very helpful as you then are able to be more flexible globally. And then also you're able to share your resources, being able to make your nonprofit code open source. You'd really be able to offer and students and anybody else looking to gain experience to contribute to meaningful projects. And then lastly, being able to have nonprofit developer focused tools. So being able to leverage other tools that other nonprofits have is a great way to open source your project. And then other nonprofits can learn from some of the items that you are able to work on and hopefully be able to fork that, create that into something that other nonprofits can use. And lastly, on engagement, our topic here today is about volunteers, and being able to encourage engagement has always been a challenge with contributors, with volunteers. Engagement open source is has always been a challenge. We want to avoid contributor burnout, and that's engagement really isn't just shaped by code. It's also by different social, organizational, and communicative practices within each organization and each project. So, oh, something's missing there. So the purpose really matters, having clear a mission for the project and then being able to connect that with the intended impact. So a lot of times we hear from contributors where they may put out a PR, they may put out a bug fix for something, but they really want to know what happens after that fix is merged, what impact that has created. So that is a little bit different within the social sector when we want to look a little bit about monitoring and evaluation for social sector projects, and then being able to then connect those technical contributions to real world outcomes and having that clear attribution back to contributors. So then you would also consider having strong attribution guidelines, having really clear documentation on that for contributors. And that leads me to the next point here on clarity. That leads to higher participation rate, where we found that there's having clarity in contribution pathways makes it a little bit easier to have more sustained engagement. In other words, the communication is really predictable, it's transparent. If the team always meets on a certain day, a certain cadence, it makes it easier for contributors to feel comfortable to drop in, and they feel safer to drop in and rejoin at the next time if they would like to. And of course, with all open source projects, having really clear README, well scoped out issues and different tags like first issues, good first issues, help wanted, bug always makes a difference from anybody who wants to join, but they're a little bit nervous to be able to join a project. And then lastly, engagement would also look, pathways also look a bit different when we want to encourage more leadership opportunities for contributors. Being able to say, here are the next steps for contributions. In other words, an individual may make a contribution at one point for a small change, and then they see that merge, great. But then what's next? Being able to provide a way to show we're looking for more leadership, more community managers to join. This is one way where you can contribute. You can invite contributors to broader discussions on a project strategy or priorities, being able to rank what features could be done under discussion boards or wherever you communicate with your contributors is a great way to work together and grow your community and increase engagement. So with all that, some resources I want to leave here is we do have a good first issue type of list. There's a lot of great ones out there. Highly recommend any open source projects to add your project to any of the good first issue type of list. A lot of different organizations have them. They're very useful for individuals that are looking to get started. There's one here for good first issue, which is focused on digital public goods and open source for good ecosystem of projects. So if you have an open source project, you can add your project on here. I'll put the link in the chat afterwards as well. And we're looking to also find ways to improve discoverability for any digital goods or open source for good projects. We're always open to any ideas. And like I mentioned, that GitHub provides a free Teams plan. I'll also have that link. We have the free Teams plan and also 25% off enterprise cloud plans for any organizations that are a verified nonprofit within the country that you're registered in. You'll be able to leverage that discount. That's just for nonprofits. So that is the link there for any organizations that would like to sign on for free GitHub. But I want to first now thank everybody for your time, and transition to the meat of our talk here today is Techies Without Borders. So I'm going to stop sharing and then hand that over to Yan and Deb.
Thank you.
Right.
Can you
There
see
we
my
go.
screen?
And you can share.
Can you see my screen? Take some time to.
Yeah.
You can see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so that's a screen, right? So because I cannot see the screen,
Yeah.
that's weird, but that's okay. So yeah, but that's okay. I'm gonna get into the full screen. So now you can see, right, everyone? So you can see, yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you for, our talk today. It's really from expertise to impact. We are telling the stories of our nonprofit, Techies Without Borders. Presenting here, we have Dr. Deb Stoner, who is a retired emergency medicine physician based in Pennsylvania. And my name is Yan Li. I'm an associate professor at Claremont Graduate University, which is based on Los Angeles, California. And our meeting goal is really provide insights on our Techies Without Borders, or TWB's work, and also how, our volunteers. So about TWB is actually built on a very shared belief that everyone deserves access to information technology. Our vision actually reflects this commitment, where we work to advance social development for individuals, organizations, and communities around the world through the power of information technology. We are a global 501c3 organization made up of experts, IT professionals, and local advocates who want to create small but significant social impacts that lead to, really long-lasting impact. And our team actually reflects this global mission with people from around the world, like Australia, China, Germany, India, Nepal, Romania, and the United States, and Africa, Southeast, South America. And we collaborate to bring technology-driven solutions to communities that needs the most. Then CMES, actually, if you go to our TWB, go to our website, we have worked on a number of different projects in the past, but our main focus now is the CMES, the Continuing Medical Education Solutions Project. CMES has a very simple goal, is to give healthcare workers in resource-constrained areas reliable access to up-to-date current medical education. And we do this through innovative technology solutions that enable to CME content in low bandwidth and low resource settings. And they include, a USB drive session on the left, USB drives that provide updatable CME content to individual practitioners. Then in the middle, in this image, we have Raspberry Pi devices that support entire clinics or hospitals with CME, using our CME mobile apps to access the content. And then last year, we rolled out our newer mini computers that add more full video capabilities in hospital settings for really richer training. And all those tools has been used by physicians and physicians in training, nurses, EMS personnel, and community health workers, so they can stay up to date and deliver safer and better care to their population. Here we want to highlight the impact of the CMES project. 10 years after its inception, it's actually first started in January 2016. CMES is now active in about 70 sites across 20 countries on 4 continents. This actually shows, both reach and flexibility of our solutions. And through those sites, we have reached more than 15,000 medical providers who together serve a patient population of over 20 million people. So every USB drive, every Pi, and every mini computer has a multiplier effect at the point of care. Our growth has been almost entirely organic through networking, word of mouth, and social media. And this experience has told us that the clinicians see real value in CMES, and are motivated to share it with their colleagues. Now, let's quickly, get a sense about how CMES actually works in the practice through a very short video. If you are interested in knowing more about CMES project, you can contact us using the email address on these slides. And please note that the video was created when CMES was still called CME on a stick, the initial on the stick. But since then, it has further developed, and so it does not include our newer mini computers. But the core ideas is the same. And today we refer to the full set of tools as CME solutions. So if I can see my mouse, okay. So we're getting to. Can you hear the audio for the video? I don't know if sharing. Can you hear the audio?
Doctors and nurses are constantly learning new methods of treatment to maintain their skills and knowledge. This training is called Continuing Medical Education, CME for short. In many low and middle-income countries, gifted doctors and nurses have difficulty accessing CME because of limited cellular coverage, electricity, or internet. Techies Without Borders, a US-based nonprofit, developed a novel IT solution to provide accessible and free CME for doctors and nurses globally. The solution is called CMES, Continuing Medical Education on Stick. The CMES project is currently being used across 16 countries, and all services and devices are free. So, how does it work? We provide USBs and hand-sized computers called Raspberry Pis to hospitals and clinics for use by medical staff. Every month, we upload more than 35 medical education articles to our cloud-based server, allowing worldwide access to the content using either the USB or a smartphone app connected to the Raspberry Pi. Our solution can be used even when there is no electricity or internet. Up-to-date information is now at their fingertips, reducing global medical education disparities. The communities depend on these committed medical professionals, and Techies Without Borders depends on your support to grow the CMES project. Please consider a donation to Techies Without Borders. Together, we can make a global impact.
Right. So, if you know more details, feel free to reach out to us. So now, there are many people who make our CMES possible. This including the TWB co-founders, as have you seen the photo on the right. One person missing is Dr. Manoj Thomas, who is now residing in Australia, so he can't here today. Note, there are also a large group of, not in the picture, a large group of very dedicated volunteers who have given their time, their skills, and energy to keep our project moving forward. So now I will turn it over to Dr. Deb Stoner, who will talk more about what volunteering looks like within TWB. Deb.
Thank you, Yan. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. And Cynthia, thank you so much for organizing this with your community. I'm going to talk about volunteerism. Although I was for many years the medical director of Techies Without Borders, I wore a lot of different hats and I've worked with the volunteers over the last 10 years. So what is volunteerism? It's very simple. It's the act of you offer your time, your skills, and your services, and you do it without compensation. And when I say without compensation, that's without monetary compensation. There is a lot of compensation that you'll see comes through being a volunteer. It's a big commitment, and we'll discuss more about the without pay part and how you manage your time. Next slide, please, Yan. The beauty about volunteerism, it really enhances any career. I mostly talk to medical professionals about this, but when I was going over everything for this particular group to speak to, it's really the same type of benefits that you get. You build your professional career, your personal strengths. And that really helps you along your lifelong journey, because you start to do that in diverse settings, not just within your own framework of your profession or your personal life. You really expand your professional networks, and you develop collaboration skills beyond what you may be doing right at within your own job. And it's a great pathway for leadership and service. You have the opportunity to observe how mentors work with volunteers, and that is a tremendous skill to build. Next slide, please, Jan. To dive a little bit deeper into skill development and strength, number one, you get exposed to more diverse populations outside of your workspace, and you begin to see very unique challenges, and you build skills for unique solutions. You can work often in low resource environments. I mean, that's just a given in a nonprofit, right? We're all low resource. And it really fosters your own appreciation for what you may have in your workspace, the struggles of nonprofits, and how you can help them. It builds with hands-on experience beyond your routine job. It definitely builds your own confidence. And I've built a whole different scope of skills outside of my practice of emergency medicine, having to do with administrative work within a nonprofit. And you really become very adaptable at problem-solving skills. And when you have adaptability with problem-solving skills, that equals flexibility. And that is a tremendous skill to have. Next slide. Okay, professional growth and career opportunities definitely strengthens your job applications. Often you want to shine, and when you show a willingness to do more than what was required outside of your job, especially if it was something that was outside of the box for you, something that you had to build a new set of skills, that really does make your CV shine. It demonstrates initiative, compassion, and commitment. This is a very strong character trait, and it is something that is often difficult when you're interviewing someone to really get a grasp on. But when you can see that they have volunteered and the different duties that they have, that helps you measure the character of that person and whether they're a good fit for a job. You create new pathways for career growth and change. You meet and connect with people outside of your sphere, and you may not get immediate rewards for that, but you definitely will for later career opportunities. It builds your credibility with your peers, your mentors, and your institutions. This leads to strong letters of recommendation. It builds a very strong professional reputation. And when you have career guidance by other people outside of your institution or your job, you, again, build a different set of skills. Next slide, please, Jan. Leadership and teamwork. When you have the opportunity to lead in a nonprofit campaign or an outreach team, you definitely demonstrate initiative and reliability, because again, it's volunteer, right? So you really have to self-regulate. And we'll talk more about that, about how you can protect yourself and still give of your time. Item 2, you build collaboration skills across discipline. And you build some practical skills in an organization, and you do it under supervision so that you can then go out on your own and say, be a mentor. Item 3, again, it encourages mentorship and teaching roles. And the best way to really sink your teeth into something is to be able to teach it to someone else. I think that's true across all professions. It's very, very true in medicine. And it really does enhance your communication with your colleagues, staff, and communities. You begin to develop a cultural sensitivity and empathy, and it's a great way to develop and practice listening outside of just what you're normally used to. The next slide, please, Jan. Okay, so how do you get started? You really need to clarify your own goals. And are you doing this short term? Are you doing this long term? Do you want to learn a completely new skill, or do you want to use the skills that you already have? And if you're just starting out volunteering, that's probably the safest way to go, is to use a skill set that you are comfortable and familiar with as you begin to enter into that nonprofit's framework. Research your organization, and I cannot stress this enough. You want to review their website, you want to check their affiliations and any endorsements, you want to search reviews, you want to ask friends for recommendations for nonprofits, and you definitely want to verify their legal status and their transparency as a type of whatever category of nonprofit they are. And you can find that in the IRS forms and in your state's nonprofit platforms. Match your skills to the needs. However, if you want to learn a new set of skills, then you need to understand what the requirements are. You want to start small and build on that experience. You want to prepare culturally and ethically. You want to find out what is available. Will they train you? How will they help you? And then you want to plan logistically and financially. So you want to think, are you trying to really scale up and build your own career? If you are, then you're going to maybe just do a short-term volunteerism to kind of try it on, see how it fits. And then you have room for your own logistics and your own growth in your personal job. If you're at a point in your career, and that's where I was at when I retired, that I was ready to commit long-term, and I was ready to commit deeply and with a lot of time. And that's generally usually with people who are more flexible in their careers, or kind of at the end of their careers, or transitioning and looking for something else career-wise. Stay flexible, okay? And then always make sure you understand what is the outdoor in the organization that you're going to volunteer with. Find out exactly how they want and how they plan for your exit, so that it can be done gracefully on both sides. Next slide, please. I think Jane Goodall said it best. You know, we all want to make a difference, and we all have goodwill, but you really need to have knowledge, or you need to have some mentorship and some experience in your back pocket. And it's up to you to decide what kind of difference you want to make. The way I look at it is that we all want justice for the world. And I was mistakenly thinking that justice meant through the legal system and through many ways that I could not help. But really, justice is bringing what skills you have and sharing them in whatever way you can in a community. That, to me, is what justice is about. And again, think about long-term and short-term commitments. Yan, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about our call for action. And thank you, everyone.
Yes, finally, we just want to end with a call to action. And TWB has grown to a point. You know, when we first started, we have like, Deb, how many? 3 co-founders plus 2 IT students, right? When we first started, to a point now we have over 40 volunteers, a board director of 7, and plus our co-founders. So we really need a more structured team to sustain and also expand the impact you have seen today. So we are looking for, you know, support in 4 main areas. First, for operations, we need help with day-to-day coordination, documentation, data entry and reporting, as well as scheduling and logistics for events and resources. And secondly, external relations. This includes like grant writing, communications and marketing and fundraising. Those roles help us to tell our story, help us to secure funding, and stay connected with our partners and donors and participants. And then third, finance. we are looking for people who can help us with budget planning and financial tracking and reporting and basic compliances and tax support, so we can manage our resources more responsibly. And finally, information technology. We always need, techies who can support our like data systems, managing cloud services and security, and enhance our platform or help with support our solutions. So you can, if you're interested, you can email us at the email on the screen here, or any other ways. With this, I'm going to stop the presentation and open for questions. Should I stop sharing?
I think, yeah, you can leave that on because you have your
Okay.
email for anybody else who wants to grab that. And we're going to open this up to anybody who has a question. You can put in the chat. You can raise your hand, and we have some time for questions. And let me take a look. I think we may have had another question from before. I can get started. So one question that we got in from previously for someone who couldn't attend is a nonprofit trying to understand how to manage virtual volunteers in a global context. So you mentioned that you have leaders around the world, and your tools are used around the world. How do you manage that community globally?
Deb, do you want to answer it or
Yeah,
I answer?
Yeah, I can take this.
Okay.
So for us, we're structured into 3 categories. So we are medical volunteers, IT volunteers, and operations volunteer. And then below that general heading, we have leaders for each of those areas. And those leaders decide and bring in other volunteers to help support the work that they're doing. I sort of have the general bird's eye view of everyone. So I'm in on all of the meetings, but that's how we structure globally. We give a lot of license to our leaders so for example, in the medical, we have now a new medical director, a very dynamic emergency medicine physician whose specialty is medical education. And we have coordinators in Africa, Latin America, and Oceania region. And she works with each of them, and then each of those coordinators brings on people that they need to do the work in each of the countries that they help supervise and manage. And then one thing that we've started doing is we've started having, I call them front porch discussions, where we just invite the medical team to come to a meeting and just share ideas and share experiences. And we do that with operations, and we'll be doing that with IT has always done that. They've always come together to discuss, but it's more of a not so much a problem solving, but just sort of bringing ideas. And then we're going to open that as just sort of a large group for everybody all at once, and more of a social meeting. We're going to be doing that twice a year. Fortunately, we now have a new volunteer coordinator, which has been very helpful.
Yeah. Also, I want to add, like from the IT perspective, also we have, for example, we'll do the IT teams overall. We have a lot of our IT volunteers originally, because both me and Dr. Manoj Thomas are faculty and professors. So students actually gain a lot of experience when, doing project with us. And later on, like our longest volunteers has all my students from CGU. They have been with us 10 years since its inception. And so for us, actually, we have our like IT WhatsApp. So we really becomes a family that, when we have project, we jump on a call, could have random hours, like we were on site, has a bug, right? We'll call, because we are around the world, actually that's been our advantage, because anywhere there will be someone awake and answer questions or help us. That's actually played in our advantage. But when then goes back to for a global team, for Deb's point, in a sense that to be flexible, because we have like often like me and Dr. Manoj Thomas in Sydney, then we have people like in Asia or Africa. So we often have to have meetings that at odd hours. So I have gotten up 7 a.m. for a meeting, or sometimes with Australia or Africa, the meeting is like 10 p.m. at evenings. But being volunteers, we are willing to put that time and effort in. But the bottom line is we believe what we do and we have passion of what we do.
One other thing I would like to add is that during our volunteers orientation, we stress to them that they're not just there to help us, but we are there to help them build their skills and build networking. But we also do not want to be a burden to them. And because many of our volunteers are in medicine and their schedules in emergency medicine are so erratic, we give them great license to just pop on and say, hey, I committed to this, but I cannot do this. And they know that we will offload them right away.
Yeah, that's a great point, and it is really good to know about knowing your own schedule and capacity and interest and being able to share that upfront. Definitely does help in planning. I definitely hear you on that. And another question that we have in terms of, I see the call to actions here with a number of different open positions. I'm very curious for this next coming year or next few years, what are some of the things that you really wanted to focus on if you are able to fill all those roles that you have open?
Deb, you want to highlight that? Yeah.
Yes, I would like to highlight that. I would like to take off a few of my hats. Fundraising, we would really love to have a fundraising lead. We fundraise just once a year at the end of the year, especially targeting Giving Tuesday. We raise a very minuscule amount compared to most nonprofits. Our goal is usually $15,000 to $25,000 a year, because what we do incredibly cheaply with a very low carbon footprint. And that would be one area. The other would be just a general administrator, someone to take over the day-to-day activities, and especially communications and marketing. I think that for me, those are the biggest. Yan, you can comment on the IT.
Yeah, IT, we are okay, but always welcome, So far, we have a few active volunteers being able to take roles and responsibility. Also, like Cynthia knows, we teamed up with Ruby for Goods, and one of the leaders were actually Sean, works for GitHub, and it's a great resource, has been great in helping us in some of the back-end development. So for us, another lesson is we learn to team up with other nonprofit who share the similar goals, and we collaborate and work on the project. So we are more need. I think we have also, right, Deb, we have enough medical volunteers for now. So we really look for the communications and marketing and fundraising and administrative support. Those are like really two main areas that we're looking to.
And sometimes there's just small jobs, like we have pies all over the world, and we like to track them. We use Dataplicity licenses, which are in-kind donations from Dataplicity, to track them. And that's, to have somebody dedicated who every month will go and see what pie is offline, how long it's been offline, contact the mentor at that site and say, hey, your pie's been offline for 2 months now. Do you need help getting it back online? So there are small jobs like that they may, spend 1 or 2 hours a month doing. And then, of course, there are much bigger IT jobs.
Thank you. And on that partnering, I do see a question from Monique. The question is, what can nonprofits do on our side to be partner ready if we want to engage volunteers, particularly in coding? We've had they use GitHub, we have a good and bad experience in the past, and also wondering if there are any learnings that could be shared. And then afterwards, I do see another hand up. Okay. Right after.
So what was your question? I didn't get it. So the question is how to engage.
It's in the chat.
Okay.
What can nonprofits do to be partner ready? So they want to engage volunteers in coding, but what do they need to do before
Okay.
that? And Monique, feel free to come off if you want to share
Yeah.
more about that.
So I think we are very unique because, in a sense, our founders, Deb has medical knowledge, and then two other co-founders I didn't mention, both Dr. Manoj and me are IT professors. So we have technology knowledge. I think also, I think, at least for me, I have the knowledge of managing IT teams before. So we are a technology-driven solution, right? So initially, our solution is really very heavy coding and product development. So I guess to work with, you need someone who is a good project manager that have managed IT project before. It's very different than manage other projects. And this person doesn't have to be tech, like can be do hard coding, but this person should understand the technology landscape broadly, understand how IT projects are played out, and would be able to, facilitate that communication. I think that's really how you can make it ready.
Yeah, and do you think there would be benefit in a nonprofit partnering with a university and
Yes.
their business and information technology department?
Yeah.
We've also had good luck in posting on LinkedIn, but you have to be very job specific and you have to pin it at the top, and you have to be ready for people from all over the world contacting you. But that has worked for us also.
Thank you. And I see a hand up. You can come off mute if you'd like, or I see you put your question in the chat. So the next question we have is, what are your methods for engaging with the next generation? I have worked with youth from middle to college. Our nonprofits connect to empowering youth voice through mentoring and volunteering. So the methods for engaging the next generation.
Yeah, I have this like Deb knows, right? If on our website, the smallest volunteer is my daughter when she was 5. Help us to put on the USBs for her. So she knows our work. And I think, for example, we had one volunteer who's still with us. He was interested in coding in his sophomore year, I think, right? And so he reached out. And we took him in. He worked with our developers along the side. Then he's now computer science graduated, had a good job with us more than 6 years. And he's still with us. He developed and grew from, very young kid interested in coding, got into a computer science major, now work for, as a software developer, still working with us. For us, because we are small, but the engaging is in bringing with them in, even when they don't have the skill set like Deb originally said, but understand their goals, but get them involved. Then, slowly develop their skills. We, again, uniquely because Dr. Manoj and I are both university professors, so we kind of have that mindset to mentor students and to guide them. Then we are able to pair them up with more matured, because I'm from Claremont Graduate University, so it's graduate only. So all the students I work with are PhDs, mostly PhD students or master students, so they're more mature. So they really, we don't need to do it hands-on. The students will help the next generation.
From the medical side, from the CME side of what we do, we have engaged with both undergraduates and medical school students. And sometimes they're just doing some very simple tasks like writing a case of the month, the medical students, if they have enough experience, or they're uploading content to our server. They're taking on some of the, I'll call it secretarial type jobs of what we do, getting our content uploaded. Some of them participate in Journal Club because we use that as a means to engage. We send out question and answers to engage our participants, especially in Africa. So to build an alliance with the younger generation, we as Yan said, through their universities, and for me on the medical side, through undergraduate that are anticipating a career in either some type of medical career, either nursing, dentistry, medicine, and bringing them kind of up through with different types of jobs starting simply.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, my name is Jawan Stewart. I am based in the Atlanta, Georgia area, Metro Atlanta, and I'm the one that had that question in regards to youth engagement. I am a former retired anesthetist, and so I'm really passionate about youth engagement and how to build that internally into our nonprofit organization sector. And I'm just really impressed by what you all are doing, the work that you're doing, and would love to see how to partner or collaborate on things that we're doing within our area. We have an upcoming event, which is our MLK Service Learning Hackathon. And I
Oh,
could just imagine if we had gotten in contact with you earlier, you guys could have given us some scenarios that we could use for our students to solve.
that's
So,
true.
so those are the kinds of things. I just want to expose more students to research, technology, and especially tying it into STEM and STEAM in our case, because we
Yeah.
include arts and medicine.
Arts.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we forgot to
Yeah.
mention, we actually have done some service learning courses with professors because through our network. So just like you said, the professors bring our kids in. I think we did one with Harvard, right? University of Sydney. So we did a couple with universities, and that's actually a great learning experience for students because they get to learn to solve real world problems through their learning, and they get to see the impact. I think that's motivates
Yeah.
them the most.
And I believe your screen is still being shared. I think if you
Oh.
want to share our
Oh.
contact information,
Okay.
feel free to each other as well. And that is also great. And all right.
Do I want to stop
Any
sharing?
other questions? We still have some more time.
Yeah.
Perfect. And
Yeah,
I
I
see
was
the email
adding
there,
more.
and I'm
Okay,
not
thank you
sure.
for the email. I was searching. Any other information? Or any other questions? Okay, I'm writing down the name. Thank you.
Great.
I
And
think
I think if we have any other questions, feel free to reach out to myself or to Techies Without Borders. This has been a privilege, and so happy to have Techies Without Borders here to learn a little bit more and to create a space for anybody to share any resources and hopefully make new connections. We are also very happy to have Microsoft Carson here to create the space for us. Thank you so much to Carson and the team. Thank you to Deb and Yan for this opportunity. And we're looking forward to the next series with our next nonprofit. If anybody have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And I believe this is recorded and will go out shortly.
Absolutely. Thank you so much to everyone. We will send the recording out to everyone who attended and everyone who registered, likely later today, definitely by the end of this week. Please feel free to let me know directly if there's any opportunities to continue the dialogue. Really grateful to both GitHub and Techies Without Borders for really showing what's possible today, how technology is being leveraged. And thank you to all who joined just for the work that you do every day. The call to action is simple. So if today sparked something, don't let it stop here. Let us know where we can partner more closely and where we can explore what's possible. Thank you for joining, and hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you,
you everyone
everybody.
for joining.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.